this video, I'm going to share 3 ways to re-engage inactive email subscribers so you can continue to get better and better ROI from the investment into acquiring those subscribers in the first place. Okay, so one of the most common problems that happens with email marketing is that over time, as your list grows and grows, you're going to get people who naturally lose interest for different reasons. Sometimes it could be because of something you've done, so maybe they just don't like your emails, maybe you're emailing too often, or it could just be things like maybe they just don't need to buy a product like what you sell anymore, so they just stop opening them. And sometimes there's just nothing you can do. So maybe it's something where they no longer use that email address anymore, or it's a company email address and they have a different job, whatever. There's going to be a certain percentage of them that you just can't get back for reasons like that. Then there will be another group of people who they might still have the email address, but maybe they just don't like your brand, they don't like your products anymore or whatever. But what I'm really talking about here are 2 groups. You have one, the people who have gone inactive, where again, it's like, it's not that they just don't like you. Maybe they just didn't need anything for a while. Maybe they just kind of forgot about your brand or your products for a while, but they were overall happy with the experience they had. And then the other group would be people who are not quite there yet, but they're on their way. So they're not quite totally inactive. They're still opening emails occasionally, but they're kind of bored, they're kind of losing interest, and you want to re-engage them. So I'm going to share 3 ways you can do that. So the first thing is setting up some automations. So if you're an e-commerce business, setting up a customer win-back flow, a sunset unengaged flow. Those are 2 different types of automated email sequences that will re-engage people automatically. So you don't have to do anything after you've created it. It will just automatically send out those emails that you've created. One of those, the customer win-back, that is designed for people who have made a purchase in the past and then they haven't made a purchase in a while, whatever time frame that you deem necessary for that. And the idea is to try to re-engage them and get them to come back and make another purchase. And then the sunset unengaged, this is for anyone, whether they've purchased or not, who just has stopped engaging altogether, meaning they're not even opening your emails, they're not visiting your website, nothing. And the purpose of that is a lot of times it's really kind of saying, hey, just so you know, you won't be getting any emails from us. If you want to continue getting these emails, click this button. If you'd like to unsubscribe, then click this. And that's kind of a friendly way of letting them either show that they're interested, that they are still interested, or that they just would like to see themselves out. And it's interesting, a lot of people will actually reply to that email and say, hey, keep me on. I just haven't seen your emails in a while, but I missed them or whatever. So that's the first thing. Those are automations you can set up. You can find plenty of resources on how to create those types of emails. They're very common. So that's one thing. But those are pretty common. That's not really that exciting. And a lot of times, by the time someone gets to that point, they're almost lost. So we want to, find ways that we can re-engage people that's a little bit more exciting and interesting and unique from what other brands are doing. So the next tip I have is to prompt them to sign up for a new email series. So similar to what I mentioned before, you would send out an email and you would introduce a new series, and I'll talk about that in a second. But then you would basically say, hey, if you're interested in joining us, click this here, click this button, and then you would be able to enroll them in those emails or just filter them out. But basically having them do something to show some level of interest. But the main thing here, what's going to entice them, is that you need to have something that's new and exciting. And so this could be if you're selling products, if you're selling supplements or anything related to fitness, it could be that you're kicking off a new email series to help people restart their fitness journey. And so for a lot of people, they're like, you know what, they hadn't been opening the emails, they hadn't been buying products because they had fallen off the wagon, and they're like, you know what, this would be a perfect time. I've been wanting to get back on my schedule, I've been wanting to get back in shape. This would be the perfect thing to help me kickstart. Yeah, I'm in, I want to join in, and they're going to be a lot more engaged. But you see, you're giving them a reason, something to join along with, something to be excited about. Another thing could be like, if it was an apparel company, it could be like you're going to do a series on a wardrobe makeover, so helping people make over their wardrobe. And one thing, it should be obvious, but I don't think it is always, that with these emails that I'm mentioning here, you don't want them to be purely salesy. You want to actually provide value, and in a lot of cases you're going to be providing tips and you're going to be creating content that doesn't require them to purchase anything from you. So it could be if you're selling apparel and one of the emails is about organizing your wardrobe, and you might recommend products they could buy that you don't sell that would help them make their closet more organized. That is, yes, you're not going to get the revenue revenue from that, but you're going to be building on that relationship with your customers, and you're going to make them like you more, which makes them more likely to want to buy from you. So you don't want to be thinking purely from a sales standpoint when you're doing this. You want to think strictly like, how can I make these emails the most interesting, most valuable for people? And whenever you're thinking of quote unquote re-engaging them, you really want to think of it as, how can I re-energize them? How can I re-energize the list? So that's another example. Then the last one I have here is something that I've done an entire video about before, and I call it changing the narrative. So a lot of times when you have a big list where a lot of the people have gone dormant or they've just become inactive, a lot of times it is because of something that you've done as the business owner, as the brand. Perhaps you got into the habit of emailing too often, being too salesy with your emails, and you were just trying to squeeze as much revenue as you could out of your email strategy, but it was to the detriment of the engagement and you lost a lot of people. Maybe not, maybe it was something else, but maybe it was just you stopped emailing. Maybe the emails just got kind of boring. Maybe you hired a team and they did a terrible job, or they were mismanaging it for a while, and things, people were getting emails out of order and getting emails when they shouldn't have, or coupon codes in the emails weren't working. There's all kinds of things we see, right? But whatever the case is, the whole purpose of changing the narrative is that you really want to address how things were versus how they're going to be, and tell a story about that. So, this is something that I have done that has worked very well with all different types of businesses, where if you really just kind of like, hey, you share your side of the story, talk about what you did wrong. Now, again, you don't have to, maybe it wasn't something you did wrong. Maybe you want to be a little bit more vague about it, but I find that the more you can be empathetic to what their customer experience has been like, showing that you recognize that it's not where that customer experience is not where you want it to be, then telling a story, sharing your vision for what the customer experience should be and how it's going to be going forward. And then you continue to actually implement and follow through on those things you're saying in your emails. That it has been incredibly, exciting for different company communities, different brand communities, where people love the authenticity. They love the fact that you're able to just talk to them like they're humans, and you're not playing games and lying and, just trying to like beat around the bush about it. And the fact that they want to get that better experience, and everyone loves a redemption story. So again, this might not be the angle of you did something wrong, or your company did something wrong. It could just be changing the narrative of, hey, things were this way, and maybe that way was just plain and boring. Maybe it just wasn't that exciting, or there just wasn't a lot to stick around for, and now you've got something new and exciting going on. Kind of like what I was mentioning in the previous one of starting some sort of new series. It doesn't mean you have to start a completely new series and do all that. It just means that you want to tell a story of how things have been, how it's going to be, and then follow through on making sure that how you said it's going to be is how it actually is now. And by doing that, you can totally win over all those people who are kind of in the middle, where they're not completely inactive, but they're getting there. And then you can actually win back a lot of the people who were inactive, who just had checked out, but they're like, you know what? I love what you're saying here. I'm back. I'm interested. I want more of these emails. And again, there's going to be some group of people that you just can't reach, you can't win back, and that's okay. You should just let them go, and don't worry about that, because you'll end up wasting too much energy, and whenever you could be investing that energy into the people who actually want your emails, where you can end up generating way more sales from them and doing less harm to your email deliverability by not trying to continually chase these people who are inactive. So those are 3 things that we have done that have worked time and time again. I would say the automations are definitely the easiest place to get started. Changing the narrative is probably the most challenging, depending on what the circumstances are and how open and authentic the business owner wants to be in that scenario. But starting a new series, it does require a little bit of creativity, right? It does require, there's a little bit more demand on the type of content you're creating, but that to me is like the no-brainer of, if you really want to re-energize, re-engage people, that's the way to go beyond those basic automated emails that require extra work, but doesn't necessarily mean you have to do this whole, transformation of changing the narrative and all of this stuff. So hope those help. And if you want to see more videos like this one, then leave a comment below and let me know what videos you'd like to see, and I'll be sure to add those to the list. So I'll see you in the next video.